So, as I mentioned, we are going to be talking today about, and we have covered this topic in a shorter sort of segment, but we're going to go more into detail to speak about how can you really target the skills on your LinkedIn. And this is not like everything we talk about LinkedIn, but you can also think about it in terms of your CV. Think about it in terms of how you present yourself in an interview, because when we have a good targeted narrative in any of these sort of, let's say, platforms or documents, that it really helps us to present ourselves in general. And then I'll also speak a bit about the keywords that you can use, especially when you're searching for positions, because aside from, let's say, having a really strong profile so that a company or recruiter can see you, of course, it's also a resource for you to find positions and to apply to them. So we want to talk a bit about what are going to be the words that really help you find those positions that are a good fit for you. And lastly, there is a section called the Talks About feature. And I'm just going to introduce that if you're not familiar already with what that is. It's up to you if you're wanting to use it. And I'll give you some pros and cons why you might consider using it. And then you can make your decision from there. So, how do we identify our skills? It may seem extremely basic, but really one of the best tips that I can give people is to do a very simple Google search with key terms. For example, let's say you're in the finance industry. If you were just to search finance skills, you would get a lot of information. Of course, you have to sift through that information. So, one way to have a pre sifted internet search is also to use ChatGPT. If you're not familiar yet with ChatGPT, it basically digs up the information from the internet and presents it in an organized format for you. And you can get that information by asking it a question. So you could say, please give me top 10 relevant skills for someone in humanitarian law, right? And then ChatGPT will magically list everything that it has basically scraped from the internet, based off of your request. Also, I want to tell you a bit about, and this is actually a good topic for you to bring up with your job coach, because they're more informed about the details. But we have something called the Harrison Assessment. And the Harrison Assessment is let's say an assessment or a test that is used by employers as well as future employees to really understand what are your strengths in general, right? Not even related to a specific industry. It's going to measure like your characteristics, and it will give you a report at the end listing out your strengths. And like I said, I am not an expert in this assessment, but your job coach can tell you more. And through our program, you have free access to this exam, I shouldn't say exam, assessment that is generally very expensive. So if you are at a point in your career where you feel maybe you are going to transition to a new industry, or you need a refresher about your direction and you're not sure about your direction, I think this would be a good option, because it really gives you a very nicely detailed assessment of of what you have naturally, and what kind of experience might be, what direction might be a good thing for you. For example, our onboarding associate Alina, she's also a coach. She used to be part of our program, and she did the exam, and it was interesting to see the results, because knowing her, it fit very well. It was, saying she works really good with people. She has good presentation skills, like all these things that when I know her in a professional context, I agree that that's true. So I think that speaks very highly of the Harrison assessment. At least it was very on the mark for her. And then lastly on this list, I have the National Careers Service website. You can click on there, and they also have their own sort of assessments that you can go through in order to create a list of potential skills. And if you click on there and you get confused, please, reach out to me and I can help guide you through that. And many of you know this already if you have filled out your skills section on LinkedIn, but you are able to add up to 50 skills. That doesn't mean that you should have 50 skills. I believe that quality over quantity is better in this case because a recruiter is going to look at your profile maybe for 5 to 10 seconds. They might not even scroll all the way down to your skills section, and they definitely will not go through each skill because they don't have time. So, don't worry about filling all 50. Think about what are the top, let's say 10 to 15 that really show the direction that you would like to go now. It's okay if you don't have all the skills in your past, especially if they're not 100% relevant now. What is your direction now, and how will those skills that are on your profile lead you to a position in that field or industry? And then something that I think is really helpful, and I have done this myself, and I would encourage all of you to take some time to do this, is to find other people on LinkedIn who have a similar either background or a similar position that you would like to have, and to look at their profile and lift some of the language that you see. And I'm going to show you in a moment how to do that. But for example, you can even look at their job title, and from that point, you can read their about section, you can read their skills section, and understand what someone in this job has also decided to put on their profile. Because it can be a bit overwhelming, right? Sometimes we don't know where to start, and it's very helpful to have an example. So, actually, I'm going to keep sharing, and then I will hop over to my LinkedIn. So this is what it might look like. You're going to put in the search bar the general term that you're looking for. Let's just, as an example, I have business analytics. And I think the other word was product marketing. And the reason I put them in quotation is because if you have more than one word, this is how you can separate the words. So just remember, if you're going to add more than one phrase, put the quotation marks, and you can also add a plus between them. And you're going to have the option of location and second and third degree connections. And so basically you want to, I would say, highlight the first and second. That means that you have a higher chance of knowing this person, right? Of course, first connection is 100% you know them. Second connection, someone you know knows them, which just increases the chance that if you reach out to them, that they would get back to you. Now, for the purpose of this, you don't need to have them respond to you. And so you can also just click third. And then once you do that, definitely also you can decide where they are, for example, Poland or the specific city that you're in, just so that it's relevant to the place. Okay, so let me briefly go to my LinkedIn and show you what that looks like there. Do I have any questions so far? No? Okay. So here's my LinkedIn. And like I said, I'm just going to go to home, and then I'm going to go to the keywords that I had put in, and I would even connect them with a plus sign if I can. Yeah, plus. Okay, so let's imagine that this is my field. I have experience in business and analytics and product management. And so I want to find other professionals who also have the same background so that I can get ideas about what kind of skills are relevant to put on my profile. Okay, so I'm going to click see results. And once I click there, I can decide. I want to always click people because I'm interested not in the businesses, but I'm interested in the people. And then once I have clicked people, like I said, you can choose first, second, third connection. If you want them to be closer connected, of course, you go with first and second. And then location could be relevant because every economy in a different country or yeah, I would say if I choose the US, I'm going to see maybe different keywords than I would see in Poland. So explore and just, play around with that. And then once you have the settings that you would like, you can see the list of all the people. And once you find someone who, let's say you read the general information and it looks interesting, then you're going to click on their profile. Just as an example, let's go with this person. Okay, let's go with someone whose profile looks like it's very built out. Okay, 2K followers, that looks good. So we're gonna click on Daniel, and we're gonna just kind of scroll through, and I can see too, okay, Justina, who's one of our job coaches, is a mutual connection. So that's good if I wanna reach out to Daniel for like an informational interview. Maybe that's an option to ask Justina to connect us. And I would simply, first look at the headline, software product development, strategy, discovery, and delivery. And then I would scroll. Oops, what happened? No. I would scroll down to the about section. This is a very rich area. And I would always recommend to not only put your keywords in the skills, but to also include them in the about section, specifically because, like I said, the recruiters don't have a lot of time. If anything, they will read your headline and the about section. They might not get further down. So if there's anything that's really key for them to know, then I do encourage you to include it here. And let's just scan for some keywords in Daniel's about section. So IT technology, business development, those are keywords. Strategy, product development. Oops, sorry. Okay, I would say he doesn't have a lot, but then he also has the top skills here. So this is also a very nice feature if you don't already have it. Consider putting your top 5 skills below Scrum, product management, software development, IT management, right? So those are very good. So this could, even just these ones, right, might be keywords or key skills that you then add, let's say, to your list. And if you want to use your own list or the handout that I attached in our chat, either way, but just having a running list that you can go back to, all the skills in one place that you can sort of update and use as you need. All right, so that is one example of how to go into someone's profile and really, I would even recommend to go through the experience section and look at those skills in the experience section. Those can also be useful. So let's go back to why are those targeted skills important, and what can you avoid when you are creating that list? So like I said before, don't worry about having a lot of skills as long as they are relevant. And I think next week what we'll do is do an exercise on crafting your personal and professional journey or narrative, because I know it's hard, but you can think of the LinkedIn and your resume and even your interview style as a storytelling activity. What story is your profile telling? What are the connecting dots between one position and another position, or between one, let's say, interest and another interest, so that someone can easily grasp your journey, even though I know in my experience, like sometimes I don't even know what those connectors are. So you have to sometimes slow down and really look at, maybe even with someone else like your job coach who has a external perspective, how can these things fit together in a framework? And I would avoid, of course, skills that are not relevant to your current professional goal. Let's say in the past, like 10 years ago, you were a social worker, you worked with kids, and now you haven't done that in a while and you're reskilling into IT. Of course, there will be soft skills related to this job that you can still use, but you wouldn't want to highlight, right, that area, since you're not, your goal is not to work at a social worker again. And then, of course, don't include skills that you don't have. If you're working on a skill, even consider how you can frame it so that you feel confident. Because if you put a skill that you only have a little bit of and they ask about it in the interview, then you're in a bad position. So put the skills that you do feel confident about. And then I did mention this already, but the top skills shouldn't just be in skills, but they should be in the about section, in your experience section, kind of scattered around your whole profile, because that's how you show up in the algorithm, right? So a recruiter would use a keyword in order to find certain profiles with the keyword. And it doesn't matter where that word is in your profile, as long as it's in there. So, you can have it in numerous places at the same time. And just a few other tips when you're sourcing your keyword. So identifying, of course, 3 or more, I would even say 5 target positions, because nowadays there's many different position names for similar jobs. Slight differences, but right, it can help expand your search a bit. And then to ignore or don't include the overused keywords like good communicator or detail oriented. And the reason is because those don't say that much about you. Those keywords, will generate general information, but what we want is more specific leads. We want positions that really match your desired position or your past experience. And then something that I can't overemphasize enough, and this will be different for each person on this call, which is why I can't go into detail, but to understand what are the key words in your industry. If you are a UX designer, you will have a whole different set of keywords, especially the technical skills, than someone who is in HR, right? So that's really important for each person to construct their own list based on their industry. And then if you worked on any projects, you can include those keywords there. Like I said, it doesn't have to just be in the skills, even volunteer work, let's say you had relevant experience in the direction you want to go in a recent volunteer position, don't forget to add the skills in that section as well. Okay, before I move on to the other topic, does anyone have a question about how to research or source the keywords or key skills in order to get the most, let's say, usable results?
Lorena, let me ask you a question. Well, because of that, we are from former Soviet countries. All our positions in Ukraine, and Russia, and Belarus, are from Soviet Union, and have nothing in common with names of positions there here in Europe or United States. Could you please say that how it's possible to identify your position, the name of your position from post-Soviet Union countries here in Europe and America? For example, if we're talking about Canada, they have NOC classification. So as a classification of position, you can explore obligations and duties of this position and know how it is named. How it is possible to name our positions here in Poland or in Europe according to our positions in post-Soviet countries?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and I'll try my best to answer, but I don't have experience in this, so I'm just going to guess. And maybe as you go along in your job search, you can also give us some insight. But I think that basing it on your skills is a good way around that, and trying to find a translation, right? It will not be an exact one, but exploring on the internet, like what would be the equivalent. You can even just type like equivalent of this position in Europe or US or multinational companies, but definitely being guided by the skill set that you have, for sure. And Galina, you would like to add something?
Okay, thank you.
I have small question about skills. When I want to add some skills in my profile, how I need to write full name of skills or short. For example, I write about CM, Security Information Event Manager. This is big system. I need to write full name of this system or small. And the next question, if this is only name this system, but any different vendor have another name for this system, what I need to write? Or I need to write all information and full and small and name of this CM. What I need to write?
I would base that on when you are clicking on the positions that you would apply to. What do you see? Do you see the full in the description of the job requirements? What is the typical thing that you see? Because that's how they will basically search within your profile, or they're going to want to see a match between the application and your skill set. So if they use, I think it's safe to say to use the full version and to put the acronym in brackets behind the full version. But as to your question, how many of them do you use? Because there's different ones. That's based on what do you think the applications that you send will want. Is there a leaning towards one versus the other? If yes, then you don't need to overcrowd your profile with all of them, and also consider the ones that you have the most experience in. So, and then, yeah, sort of tier them that way. Does that make sense?
I understand. Maybe I need to analyze different position, yes, and add all information. Okay, but when I find one of position, I understand I can add what information I read on this position. But if I want that HR find my account, yes, I need to write, I don't know what, maybe all my experience. I don't know, but because in section about, I write name of system, not name of vendor system. I add only CM, DLP, name of system. Yes, but maybe in all my skills, I need to write every CM system if I had some experience.
Yeah, and depending, like in your experience section, maybe there's certain jobs that you did where you used one vendor system versus the other, and then you will list it there. So it will pop up in the experience section. You don't have to have a separate list of all of them, but try to, yeah, definitely mention all the ones that you have experience, and you can say something in your about section like this, like I have this experience primarily in these and these systems, but they will understand that you can easily learn another one if you know these others.
Thank you.
Sure, yeah. But I think, yeah, what I want to emphasize, that was a good question, Elena, because the research part is something that it does take time, but it will really help, because then you will understand what is the job market looking for and how can I match myself in a way that's of course true, but it's just about using the right words. Any other questions? We're moving a bit quickly, so we'll come back at the end also for more questions if you didn't have one just now, but we will move on to the about section, talks about section. I also recently learned about it, so it's quite a new offering. LinkedIn is always updating and changing. I was going to talk about today, and maybe you noticed it was on the agenda originally, but I took it off. I was going to talk about the skills assessment, because there was an option in the skills section of LinkedIn for you to click assessment and for you to take a very brief exam which shows your skill level. Now, when I went today to refresh my memory about how it works, I learned to my surprise that they actually deleted this feature just recently. So they added it and then they took it off. And the explanation from LinkedIn of why they took it off was that it wasn't really helpful for the employers, because employers like to see the context of your skills. It's not just about, oh, what is my score on this let's say exam online. It's about in which context do I use the skill. So I think that's also interesting information for all of you, is like, how can we put our skills in a framework that is appealing to the employer? It's not just about all of the, let's say, courses or exams that you've taken, of course, but why am I mentioning this? Because I just want to emphasize that, yeah, LinkedIn is always changing, and maybe the talks about section will also change, but for now, it is a feature that is on your profile that you can activate or not. And what it does is it shows potential clients, like if you're a freelancer or employers, it shows them what your profile is about, essentially. And you have the option to list 5 topics of expertise that you quote unquote talk about the most. They could be, industry trends, professional insights that you have gained, but basically your top 5 topics or subjects that you focus on. Now, how do you do it? If you are interested in updating that, you can go to view profile. And then once you're at view profile, you can click resources and creator mode, and then you press turn on. Very simple. Once you press turn on, it will prompt you to select the 5 topics. So this is just a marketing example, SEO strategy, SEO marketing, SEO consultant. And once you have added those, you click done and they will appear at the top of your profile. And I'll show you that on LinkedIn in a moment. But what is this mode and why should you consider using it? So it gives you additional access to other features on LinkedIn that help you create and publish content. If you're not thinking that you will use LinkedIn to publish content, then this is not the option for you. But it's for people who, let's say you are an academic researcher and you would like to use LinkedIn to really gain a following based on your research. You would like to attract people to articles that you have written, for example, or like research results. So that's one way of using it. And when you turn that mode on, it gives you just better options for publishing content. Your articles and posts, for example, will be more visible to any other LinkedIn users, and you can see information or insight about your readership. So it basically gives you additional data on who is looking at your content. And from that, right, like you can understand, let's say, oh, like 10 people at Poznan University looked at my article, and maybe that's useful for someone. But for many of you, maybe it's not, right? It's irrelevant. It can help to grow your following and your reach, so to say, like how many people that your profile is visible to can be expanded. And one other benefit, this is also more for someone who's using it as a platform to share. Let's say you're an architect and you have a specialty in some sort of field of architecture, and this will help you to establish your voice, establish your brand. It's a lot about branding, and that's not going to be suitable for everyone. But like I said, the additional features that it gives you access to include a LinkedIn Live. So you can basically go on live and share, like speak live. You can have a newsletter, and you can, like I said, see the analytics of your content. So cons, and right, totally up to you if you want this or not, but your profile will actually not show the about section first. If you look at anyone's profile, the first thing you see is the about section. But if you switch to the creator mode, the first thing you're going to see is the feature and activity section, because the idea is that your profile is highlighting the things that you have written or created, not the about section. If you don't have anything written or created, this will look awkward because it will just be like empty. So for me, like I don't publish a lot of articles. I don't actually publish any articles. So I think I will go back and turn the creator mode off. But I had turned it on today just to check it out. And if the creator mode is on, think of yourself as a creator on this platform. You spend time writing, publishing, and promoting some sort of content. Let's say you're a photographer or something visual, like what else? Like UX design. I like to use that example just because I know it. But of course, you're creating content that you want people to see and you want people to engage with and like your designs. In that sense, it might be a good option. But for other people in other industries, maybe not so helpful. So if I just may briefly show you what that looks like on your profile. Okay, we're back at Daniel, but we want to go first and foremost to your own profile and press view. And then, like I said, you're gonna go down to resources. And I have the creator mode switched on because I was playing around with it today, but I'm going to go ahead and switch it off. And as you can see, once I click on there, I have analytics, which may or may not be interesting for some people. And I have my profile topics based on my work experience and my interests professionally. And as you can see here, I have these options of LinkedIn Live, newsletters, other things. But like I said, I personally do not use these features. Maybe in the future I will, but for now I'm going to turn it off. So I'm going to press turn off, and then you will see, right, when I go back to my profile, this is probably what yours looks like, is that if you go to resources and you click creator mode, you have the option to turn it on by scrolling through here, pressing next, and right, it will ask you to select, to type in the top 5 topics that you quote unquote talk about and turn on. So that's basically how it works. It's pretty simple. What it looks like on your profile is that the topics will be underneath your banner. And let's see if I can find someone who has, for example, Gina. I think this is the CEO of Upwardly Global. I think she has her creator thing turned on. And if you were to click on her profile like this, interesting. Okay. I don't see those. But we know that her creator mode is on because she has LinkedIn Top Voice. She has, instead of the About section, she has the featured articles that are the first thing that you see. So these are featured posts that she has, posted on her profile. And then also her activity section comes up before the About. And in a normal or non-creator profile, you will always see the About in the very top. So that's just a personal choice depending on how you're using the platform. If you're pretty new to LinkedIn, then I would recommend to not turn it on, because this is a advanced usage of the platform as a form to share your own content that you have created or written. Any questions about that creator mode? Okay. And the last thing that we did not have time for last week, but that I did have on the presentation and I just wanted to discuss briefly, is adding a customized URL. And that's super easy, and it can make your profile more easily discoverable. And it also, like, if you're considering to put your LinkedIn URL on a business card or on your CV, it just looks better because there's not all these numbers. It's just like your name and the URL. So a couple reasons, other reasons why you might consider to customize it is just to help members or other people or recruiters to identify your profile, to match your profile with your name. I know from experience, like, lots of people have different spellings of their name. Like, let's say Natalia with one I, Natalia with two I's. And if your name and your profile don't match up, it could be confusing for some people. So just think of, how can you match it more closely. And the other reason is the SEO, which stands for search engine optimization. It just, in simple terms, it makes you more easier to find on the internet using keywords that your audience might search for. Like if you're a consultant, right? You can say Lorena Nellis Ortiz consultant or business consultant, and then, right, that's a more searchable term than my name with a lot of numbers. So how do we do it? You're gonna go through this process, click on me, view profile, and then edit icon. And I'll show you that over in my profile. But basically you can have 3 to 100 characters in your URL. You cannot have any symbols or special characters. And like I said, my recommendation, if you choose to do this, is to use a variation of your name and or your professional brand, because that's how you can be found easy. Oh, where's my, there it is. So a good URL would be like www.linkedin.com John Smith. That's the person's name. If you have like a bunch of numbers in between, it's confusing. Another good example would just be linkedin.com Smith Consultancy, if that person is a consultant. And this other example wouldn't be as strong. So what does that look like on the actual LinkedIn if you wanted to do that? So you would go to your profile. And if you want to follow along on a separate window, we can do that too. So I'm going back to me. That's always a good place to start. I'm going to click on view profile. And then on the profile page, the edit icon next to the public profile, I believe it's here. No. Edit, yes, add or edit your profile URL. Okay, so that would be here. Now, as you can see, my profile has a lot of random numbers in there. This is the automatically generated URL. It's nothing that I created. If everyone just has one, automatic. So now I can consider to change this. And I believe I just click here. Yeah, here. So it's gonna tell me your custom URL must contain 3 to 100 letters or numbers. Please do not use spaces, symbols, or characters. Okay, so let's see how it updated. I'm not quite sure if I did update it. Let's see. No. Okay, I have to try it again. Personalize your URL for your profile. Yes. I see. Okay. So as you can see, I don't like those numbers. So my update that I'm going to make, I think, would be just to take those out. And now it's going to be linkedin.com in, which stands for LinkedIn. This is not part of the area that you are able to change, just this part. And then it's just my full name. And I'm going to save and see how that works. Okay, let's check it out. Me, view profile. Yeah, so now it's cleaner, right? If you were to put this link somewhere, it just looks better. It looks more simplified. It looks more minimalist. And as you saw, it just took a few minutes, and it's not a difficult thing to do. All right, we have 10 more minutes left of our time today, and I just want to open it up to any and all questions, even if it's not related to the topics I discussed. We can discuss anything about LinkedIn or anything about your job search that is on your mind. Or
one question. If I got it right, on my URL, I can add the name of my professional, for example, yes, name, and after cybersecurity, yes, and this I will add URL on my CV, and it maybe look like good. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Definitely. And just be careful when you update it to include your professional title, because if you are applying to positions outside of cybersecurity, then you don't want to narrow your focus. But if you're saying, no, this is 100% what I'm going for, I'm only applying to this kind of job, then yes, you can brand yourself as a cybersecurity person. And we can also just take 5 minutes for you to update your URL if you would like to do that now. Sometimes it's helpful to do something together as an activity. Did anyone here already have an updated URL?
I've done it firstly.
You did it. Nice.
Yeah.
And what was your update that you did?
Name and surname.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's all. It's enough.
You
If
can't
you
go
don't
wrong.
mind, yeah, if you don't mind, I can add about the skills section, about the question that Halina said. It's my only own observation that skill section, you can consist two types of skills. First type of skill that proposed by LinkedIn, for example, management or something like that. Or skill you can add manual. For example, project management and contract execution, for example, like that. If you see anybody's profile in the desktop version or app version on phone, there are two main skills that are proposed on main page of everyone's profile. Other skills are hidden, and to see them, to watch them, we have to switch off to expand this skill section. So I can propose people to write their own skills, 2 or 3, and rearrange them and to put them on the top of the list. So
Yeah.
everyone on LinkedIn should be catchy. So the skills can be interesting and intriguing, and wanted people to expand all your skills and to explore them. For example, first skills can be business and project management, or some construction contracts execution. So in this case, every recruiter can code in this skill section. It can expand and see all other skills.
Yeah, that's a great tip. There is an easy way to toggle the skills in your skills section to move certain ones to the top, like Maxim said, and that's important to move
Yeah, they can be rearranged.
exactly, move the important ones that you want to highlight to the top section, and it's just dragging the skill up. Yeah, thank you for that. Anyone else want to jump in? Hi, Ella. We can't hear you that well. Maybe turn your volume up, or I'm still having trouble. Now you're muted. And the microphone on the bottom left, if you press the bottom left microphone, I don't know if you're on your phone or laptop, but bottom left, there's a little mic and you can click on it. Yes. No, it's still on mute. Or if you want, Alla, you can type your question in the chat. Change the language of your profile of the skills. Yes. And I know that this was a challenge for some people because they're depending on if it's on your phone or on your laptop. Sometimes the setting on the phone version of LinkedIn is one language and the other one's another language. So I think that my colleague Alina, she had recommended, let me just go back to what she had told me, because she had some issues and she had to update a few times, not just once. What did she say? Yeah, basically you want to make sure that your profile, let's say you're on your laptop, that your profile is in English. And then if you need to go through each section to double check if certain parts are still in another language, then you would need to translate those, let's say, skills if they're still in Russian or Ukrainian. I'm not sure if that answers your question. And I'm going to try to dig up what my colleague Alina said, because she did give some recommendations.
Lorena, let me add, as I know that we have profile in one language, and if you want to present our...
Say that again, sorry. Maxim, can you say that one more time?
Yes, please. As I know, if someone has a profile in English language to use profile in another language, this person should translate all profile in another language and to use it instead of the English one.
Got it. Yeah. And okay, so I just found the message. She also recommended that if you have LinkedIn on your phone, like the application, that usually, or a lot of people have it in Russian or Ukrainian, and that this can somehow also transfer over to your profile, because if you make like an update on your phone, it might just be in that language. So what you have to do is change the language on your LinkedIn app, if you have the app on your phone. And then you should see that change reflected also in your profile if you were to go on your laptop. I hope that helps. And sorry, it bumped me out. And now I'm so sorry, Ella, but your question in the chat is gone. Would you mind retyping the last question that you had? Sorry about that. I wish it was still there, but okay. I hope that was helpful. And of course, if anyone has questions that come to mind later, feel free to send me a message. Otherwise, we'll see you back here same time next week. I may have to update the time to a later time, but I will let you know on our Telegram and LinkedIn group, and you will get the presentation over email as usual. And thanks for joining, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you for interesting session.
Thanks
Have a nice
a
day.
lot.
Bye. Have a good night.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.